Hello, my loves. Hello. How is everybody feeling? Let me just get myself a little organized here. So when you're hopping on, say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. And if you are watching the replay, hashtag it replay. Let me know where you are tuning in from so I can show you some love and appreciation. We are going to be diving into the energy update for the week of September 6th through 12th, give or take. Remember, time is an illusion. It is very fluid. So if you are drawn to this after that time frame, that there's just a message in there for you. So don't get so hooked up on the times. Hello, Salim. Don't get so hooked up on the dates. If you're new to me, if you have never watched me before, I am Johanna Burkhardt. I am a multidimensional channel, teacher, and healer. I'm really here to help you live in totality, to just embrace this experience that we've chosen to have and to become the creator of your reality in any way that we can do that. Because I think that there's so much grief and pain and uncertainty in the world right now that so many people are struggling and in confusion and just not knowing what's up and what's down. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Karen. Hello, everybody. And if you resonate with me or you love my broadcasts and all the juicy content that I share so freely, please give me a share. Like, subscribe, follow, whatever, whatever platform you're catching me on. It's going to be an interesting update. How's everybody feeling? I know we're just coming off the new moon in Virgo. I almost said Scorpio. In Virgo. Who is loving the Virgo energy? I know I am. So the new moon was yesterday. You're still going to feel the effects of it today, tomorrow, really most of this week. This energy that we are in, and I really have been on and off throughout the whole year, thanks to Uranus and many other things. By the way, it's not just about planets. Is about karmic clearing, right? So we've had a lot of relationship stuff coming up. We've had a lot of timelines converging. We have had We've had a lot going on, but this new moon in Virgo has really been about really getting things organized, really just tying up loose ends. So I know for me personally, I spent the last 5 days, just organizing my house. I'm pretty much a minimalist at this point from where I used to be. Yet I still tend to, I somehow purged a ridiculous amount of stuff and donated it. I still organized everything, my cabinets, my office, like everything, just organized, aligned, purged. Really had a lot of new information coming in, a lot of new inspiration, a lot of new ideas. So this energy update is mixed. It's going to be a mixed energy depending on where you are on your evolution, on your journey. And what your frequency is, because again, what our frequency is, our state of being is what dictates the action and the vibrations that we send out that get projected back to us. You look younger, your energy is softer. Oh, thank you. That's what happens when you let go of things. Really, it really is. The more burden we carry, the more weight we hold on to, right? The older we're going to look, the more tired we're going to look. And so it's really important that when we realize, when we let go of things, when toxic relationships, clutter, whatever it is, change our diet, we become lighter, we become brighter. And it doesn't mean that if you're not there, that there's anything wrong with you. We're always exactly where we need to be. So let's talk about the energy this week, because we talked about a little bit just now about the new moon in Virgo that just happened yesterday. It literally happened last night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. So again, you're going to be feeling it this week. So if you are feeling that Virgo energy of that forward motion of I got to do things, I got to tie up loose ends, I've got to organize my house, I got to organize, my thoughts, I got to put things in a linear fashion or in an order. Just know that that energy is there to help you. But this energy has a lot to do with what I started with, which was karmic energy, karmic clearing. And interestingly enough, before I went live and I was talking to my guides, they were bringing up the year 21. They're saying, you know, this is 2021. What does the number 21 really represent to me? And wanted me to talk about that for a minute. And so when I think about the energy of 21, that number, right, that is a number that represents authority. And in a lower frequency, it is control. And if we look at what has gone on in 21, that's pretty much what, from the very beginning, right, pretty much from the end of January on, we have had this internal battle and world stage battle for control over or authority, standing in your authority. And they're two very different energies. When we think about standing in our authority, I feel sovereign. I feel certain about who I am, what I'm capable of doing and handling. I know who I am, and I don't feel threatened or in fear of somebody trying to control me, because I know that you have to allow somebody to control you. Okay. And when we put 2 and 1 together, that makes 3. And 3 is the energy of change, of fluidity, of forward motion. And something that my guides always say is if you're not growing, you're dying, right? Because there's only one or the other. This is the duality of the experience that we chose to have when we incarnated on Earth, right? So this year we've experienced a lot of change, and that's going to continue. We've experienced the projection of the battle of control versus authority. And a lot of us are going through that internally. And that's an inner conflict state of, do I want to have control over a situation in my life, a control over a person, control over anything, right? My finances, my food, whether I'm going to survive, or do I stand in the sovereignty and learn to trust myself completely and know that if something happens, I will be able to handle it as it arises when it's standing right in front of me. Because otherwise, we are in anticipation of pain that hasn't happened yet, which is also known as worry. We are fearing or anticipating the pain of what could be if we don't control this person, place, or thing. It's really important for you guys to hear, because that's exactly where it means we're in the future. We're not in the present moment. When we are in the present moment, we're very detached. We're very much in the flow. We're very much dealing with and handling and being with whatever is right in front of us. And that's really important for us to have the correlation between the two. And it's easy. You could probably think it's easy for her to say, you know, it's hard to do. It is not easy to do. But this is why we develop practices that help bring us back into the present moment. And a lot of the karmic energy that we're clearing, you know, a couple of years ago, I started channeling, the ancients. And the ancients talked about this karmic underbelly that was rising up from underneath the earth. And as it was rising up, it wasn't showing us something new. It wasn't showing us something that hasn't always been there before. It was showing us the generational patterns that we have continuously chosen to repeat. And the reason why we were being shown this at a more intense level, you could say, more in your face, is so that we would finally see it. That we would finally remove the denial and the illusions and the blinders that we have had in front of it. You know, there's a saying that anger is grief's bodyguard. When we're angry, when we're resentful, we build a wall around our heart so that we don't have to feel grief, which is just loss. loss of a person, of a job, of a home, of a lifestyle, of certainty. So if anger is grief's bodyguard, a lot of times we get angry about what we're seeing. And we decide to fight back. We decide to fight with. We decide to resist, not look at, distract, disassociate. Anything we can to not feel the pain of the potential loss that may be looming. But the other part of seeing it is taking responsibility. It's taking responsibility. Not for someone else, but for ourselves. To finally take responsibility for how we feel, for how we think, for the actions that we take, even our own denial. To take responsibility and choose to be vulnerable, to allow ourselves to be in a vulnerable state, to feel what it feels like to be exposed, to be seen, what it feels like to see something for what it truly is. And for the month of September in overall, and actually for the next few months, really, there's going to be a lot more truth exposed. And it's not easy to discern what's true and what's not, because there's such a distortion in the communication right now. And it was interesting enough because I'm not an astrologer. I don't claim to be, but I do read planetary energy. I communicate with the planets differently than an astrologer would. But I was really feeling that energy, and I had to tune into Mercury, and then I just looked it up and saw that, we are in the shadow period, and, towards the end of the month, it will go retrograde. So this communication distortion really isn't about Mercury. Yes, Mercury is the ruler of communication, but this distortion in communication is through manipulation. And it doesn't matter who, why, really, that's a rabbit hole anyway. It's just knowing that the communication has been and will continue to be distorted, but it's going to start clearing. The distortion is going to start clearing. The truth will become louder, and that truth's going to be different for everyone. There isn't one truth that resonates with everyone, right? So as I've taught this many times, this is the truth, right? The truth is the circle, and you may see the truth from this angle, and I may see the truth from this angle, and your neighbor may see the truth from this angle, and your parents may see the truth from this angle. It's still the same truth. We're just looking through a different lens or filter. We're just looking at it through our own wounds, through our own beliefs. So the one truth becomes distorted and filtered depending upon what we are ready and willing to see. Not only is this going to be something that we're going to be experiencing from the world stage, right? And how that affects our own little realities, but in our relationships, especially those that you're closest with, right? Your spouses, your friends, your significant others, your parents, co-workers, clients. There's going to be a lot of truth that's activated, and that truth that's activated, truth that is spoken, whether intentionally or unintentionally, right, is going to be triggering to some people. It's going to bring up anger and resentment. It's going to bring up opportunities to heal the grief inside of you. It's going to give you an opportunity to finally resolve and make peace with the generational patterning, programming, and conditioning that all of us, there's not a single person on this planet that doesn't have any, that we all have inside of us. Because we are onions, peeling ourselves back one layer at a time. And this is why we develop practices. Because you're already healed. You're already whole. It's just your pieces of the puzzle are just a little mixed up right now. And we're going to put them back where they belong. We're reorganizing them, repatterning them, reclaiming them. And we don't have to necessarily go back to the past and rehash what mom did or dad did wrong. But it is about recognizing that there is something that you're avoiding or not looking at, not wanting to deal with. And as that energy comes up in any now moment, whether it's triggered from the world stage or from someone in the grocery store or from your mom or dad or your child, it's about having that practice of going from the resistance of not wanting to feel it, to not be anxious, to not be worried, to not be in a state of fight or flight, into a state of acceptance. And acceptance is not agreement. Acceptance is what's done is done. Can I accept that this is here or this has happened? As we do that practice of making peace inside of ourselves, accepting what is, that is us taking responsibility and allowing us to then hear ourselves, have compassion for ourselves, surrender to what is. The most healing thing we can do when we are exposed, when we are vulnerable, when we've called ourselves out or when someone's called us out, is to hear, to be heard. Sometimes that means you need to hear yourself. Sometimes that means you need someone to hear you. So when we look at what's happening on the world stage, or if it's in your personal relationship, if we stopped fighting with what is happening, accepted that it is happening, and decided to finally witness and take responsibility for our part in it, and heard the true pain of these generational cycles that we have repeated, we can learn to create a new safe space. We can choose to integrate it, to not repeat it again, to resolve it. So within, so without. Everything that's happening outside of us is a reflection collectively of what's happening inside of us. This is the battle. So for some of you, you're really going to experience the battle of letting go of attachment, letting go of who you are with that person or with that thing, what that means about you. A lot of you are clearing a lot of shame, guilt, resentment, anger, really feeling that fire burning and coming up, right? You might be experiencing a lot of inflammation right now. I know a lot of people are experiencing insomnia, or just feeling the emotional whiplash that this energy can bring with it. But remember, we are in a dualistic experience, so there's two sides to every coin, right? When you do come into acceptance, when you do come from a detached space, a space of observation, of not attaching meaning, right? So my guides say to me, your thoughts are just theories. What you attach to becomes true. Because you think about it, I mean, we have like 60, 70,000 thoughts a day. Can you just observe the crazy thoughts that run through your mind instead of attaching to them and going, ooh, this means something about me. This must be true because someone who had insecurities put it in our head and made us believe it? Can we just observe it? So when we come into acceptance, when we come from that space of observation, when we take responsibility and not choose to blame, something magical happens. We start to heal the divine feminine, the wounded feminine, actually. We heal the wounded feminine energy, and the feminine energy is responsible for receiving what's new, receiving love back from yourself or from another. A space of leaning back, of being, of appreciation, allowing us to focus on the gratitude and appreciation of what is available in front of us right now. What we do have, true wealth, has nothing to do with how big your house is or how much money is in your bank account. True wealth is about being who you are, being free to do what you love, to go where you love, to experience what you love. Having the ability, for example, for me to ride my bike in the morning down to the waterfront, to hear the birds and the cicadas, to feel the sunshine, to smell the salt air at 9 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday, that is wealth. That is true wealth. So it really helps us when we heal the wounded feminine to allow ourselves to appreciate and see how abundant and wealthy and free we already are. And stand in that, because what we focus on, we feed. What we focus on expands. So what are you focusing on in your life? What are you focusing on in your relationships? What are you feeding? What are you feeding? There's also going to be massive opportunity this week for a lot of people. New relationships, new connections, new opportunities, whether that be financial or business, just making new friends, building community. A lot of this month, yes, it's an energy of a lot of karmic release. A lot of contracts are going to be ending, not just through September, but even in October and November. There's going to be a lot of contracts ending, a lot of timeline convergence happening. So don't be fooled just because September is the month of 9 and we think, oh, September is just the month of karmic clearing. We have been karmic clearing all year long. And it's just going to be, we're at the tail end of a big karmic cleanse. So yes, there will be a lot that we will be letting go of, but when we make space, we can receive, right? You have to make the space first. You got to clear that energy. You got to let go. So focus this week on how wealthy you already are, how free you already are, how abundant you already are. Have appreciation for a sunset or a sunrise, or the feel of a cool breeze, or the grass beneath your feet. Have appreciation for a child's laughter, for the taste of something sweet in your mouth. Allow yourself to focus on it, to envelop it, to be with it, to experience it. Be open to new connections, new opportunities, and know that when that new door opens, it's because another one had to close. So if you are losing friendships, jobs, significant others, loved ones, know that it was because it was time. Nothing happens by accident. Nothing. And sometimes that loss isn't physical. Sometimes we can feel like it's going to be an impending physical loss. I know me as a medium and as an energy reader, I have been inundated with loved ones and information about the amount of loss we're going to be experiencing. But that loss isn't always necessarily physical, especially for you energy readers out there and mediums who are still developing your gifts. It's important that we recognize sometimes that loss is a loss of who somebody used to be as they step into the new cycle of their energy, of their life, of who they want to be. Sometimes that loss is of an identity. So many people are going through their own awakening and they don't even realize it. I know for me, I was in my awakening for 4 years before I realized what was happening. 4 years. Now, I think people now it's happening way faster, right? But there's a lot of people in this world, it's the Great Awakening, that are waking up. And so as we wake up, what happens? We start to battle with our identity of who we think we are supposed to be, and the journey of finding who we truly are. The battle between what we've been taught and programmed to believe and to what our intuition and our gut is saying, I don't think that is true anymore. So sometimes that loss that we're tapping into isn't a loss of physical life or physical relationship. It's a loss of the identity. And to expand on that, me and my friend Tanya have been talking a lot about this, is there are so many different versions of us, right? My kids know me as one way. My best friend knows me as one way. My clients know me as one way. You guys see me as one way. You guys have all created your own version of me. And I'm not responsible for keeping that up. I'm only responsible for being me. So sometimes identities are shattered, and that is what we actually have to grieve, because we all are supposed to grow. We outgrow our planters and we get new, shiny new ones. And our trees get bigger. So this is a sacred journey, and there's going to be a lot of healing this week, next week. But the energy also, I don't know about anybody else, and I'll go through the comments in a minute, but I don't want to say the calm before the storm, because man, that is overused, right? Especially with what's been happening in the world. But it does feel like a little bit of a lull. It feels like, when the tsunami is about to hit, the sea pulls back, the water pulls back, and what you can see is the floor of the ocean. And oftentimes you see the floor of the ocean that you've never seen before, right? You see parts of the floor of underneath the water that you have never been able to see before. And it's almost ominous, but at the same time, it's beautiful and you can't help but look at it. That's how this energy feels, at least for the next 2 weeks. And Jupiter, the energy of Jupiter has really been showing up, and it really feels like those little things that we didn't notice before are really being amplified. The little things that we have been in denial over, the things that we have been hiding behind our wall of anger, we're starting to be seen. But it doesn't feel like it's an in-your-face energy. It feels like a subtle reveal. That's how I'm reading it anyway. Good morning. Oh, thank you. Said my energy update is so positive. There's a lot of negativity in the world. I like to make my updates to where I help you guys navigate the potential of what could be. And helping you shift your focus, really shift it. To understand that everything happens for a reason, and there's always purpose behind our pain. But until we embrace that pain, until we stop fighting with it, we don't experience any relief in it. I did something that I didn't like yesterday. And I caught myself going into a state of worry. And I felt how heavy worry was. And I felt it, and it felt very heavy, and it felt very moist. And it was really just like being with the energy of it, right? Just being with the energy of it. And I realized that when we worry about what isn't in front of us yet, when we worry about what could be, we're just going through it twice. Literally, we're going through it twice, because worry is the anticipation of loss. It's the anticipation of the pain that we may or may not experience. But if anyone has ever worried before, you know what it feels like. Isn't it painful? Isn't it heavy? So really, we're just tormenting ourselves and putting ourselves through it twice. If we just wait and allow, not even wait, if we just be present and allow for whatever's coming to be placed in front of us, we will know how to deal with it when it's there. You can prepare all day long, but until you're standing in it, you're not going to know how you're going to respond to it. You really aren't. And this is a great opportunity for me to tell you guys that I'm sharing something for free. If you struggle with this, if you struggle with anxiety and worry and uncertainty, I have a practice that has really changed the game for me. And it actually, the video that I'm sharing for free is it's live content from the current program I'm running called the Energy Matrix. And I recorded it, and I accidentally did it. I recorded it accidentally on my public profile. I pulled it down, but I thought, you know what? This information really needs to get out there. People are struggling right now, and they need to know the how-to, the legit how-to. If you watch this video, you're going to walk away with tangible practice to help you move from that state of worry, uncertainty, fear, anxiety to acceptance. So if you're on TikTok, the link's in my bio. If you are on Facebook or YouTube, the link is in the description. Grab your access to it. Soak it in. It's like 22 minutes, but it's a very potent 22 minutes. And come back and share with me how it helped you, because I know it's helped me. And I have struggled with this most of my life. Detachment. It's not easy to be present, to accept what is. And I don't claim to be perfect at it, but I do practice it every single day. So let me see hey, Heidi. Let me put my glasses on and read some of these comments and see if there's anything we want to add to this. Kimberly says, inflammation showed up from a previous injury, pain now for a few days, being gentle with myself. Yeah. And it is something that I do in the Energy Matrix, but in general, whether you pick up a book or you learn from me or someone else, it's just another reminder of how important it is to learn to read our bodies, because our bodies communicate to us through what it is that it's experiencing. So inflammation in a certain part of the body has a complete and whole message for you about something that is coming up for you. And when it's coming up for you, it means you're actually ready to integrate it, to accept it. Integration and acceptance are one and the same. So when we're never letting go of anything but control. Acceptance is the process of integrating it so that we don't have to keep repeating it. So if something comes up for you through a trigger, through body, whatever, it's because your soul knows that you are at a space that you are capable, doesn't mean you're going to do it, capable of integrating it, capable of seeing it, feeling it, making peace with it. It's really quite beautiful. Really is. I'm doing wonderful. I am in North Carolina too. Got someone from Charlotte in the house. Celine says, I agree with you, no doubt about wealth, 1,000%. Yeah, it's a really cool perspective. And thinking of that, I saw a video on TikTok, by the way, and this was a really great video. And it said, I wish I should have saved it. Anyway, the person said, if someone was to offer you $1 million today with the condition that you would not wake up tomorrow, would you take it? Would you take it? Think about that for a second. Isn't that what everybody wants? To have like $1 million to go do whatever they want? But if you knew that you would not wake up tomorrow by choosing to take it, would you take it? And if your answer is no, then you've just realized that who you are, what you have currently in your life, is worth way more than that. That you value what you currently have and who you are. You value it way more than $1 million, or you would choose it. That tells me we're already millionaires, don't you think? Christina says, you are so spot on. Can't stop crying. I was fed with so much negativity as a child. And this weekend I responded to it with such anger, shouted it out to my dad, and got scared of myself, shame, guilt, and all of the nice feelings come to the surface. Thank you for putting into words. You're so welcome. And that's another thing that often happens. I know it happened to me. We get angry, or, sometimes it's not even angry. Over the weekend, over this past week, I've had many opportunities to set boundaries. And a boundary to me is not doing something that I don't want to do, number one, but it's not being who I'm not either. It's being able to say no without explanation. It's about saying no, not because I don't have the time to do it or the capability of doing what somebody wants, but because I don't want to do it. I'm not violating my own boundaries by doing something I don't want to do. And so I had an opportunity to someone asked me something, and I had the ability to, and I absolutely could have, but I said no. And I noticed immediately after saying no, I felt guilt and shame, because the programming is we have to put others first. Treat others how you want to be treated. And it's actually reverse. Treat yourself the way you want to be treated. If you don't want to do something, say no. And your guilt says you're doing something wrong. Are you doing something wrong by saying no to something that you truly don't want to do? Of course you're not. And shame says that you are what's wrong. So are you not a good person because you chose to not do something you didn't want to do? Of course not. But again, that opportunity to set boundaries that came up and the emotions that preceded or that happened after it came up for a reason. I was capable and able to sit with that shame and with that guilt and make peace with it. But so often we don't do that. Instead, when the guilt and shame comes up, we buy into it, we feed into it, and we punish ourselves, because in reality, it's easier to bully ourselves and punish ourselves than to hear it from someone else. And we believe that by not doing and pleasing someone else, that we are wrong and that we should be punished. That telling the truth that might be painful to somebody is wrong and we should be punished. So when we self-punish or self-harm, we are picking up where our perpetrators left off. Whether they were doing it intentionally or not is not the point. It was all happening for us anyway, right? So when you have a moment where maybe you were angry, maybe you said something you shouldn't have said, maybe you made a mistake. Again, it's the practice of coming into acceptance that I can't undo it. It's done. Forgiveness is giving up hope that the past could be any different, right? So it's done. Take a breath. Now you have an opportunity. You can either shame and guilt yourself and buy into it, or you can love yourself through it. Very different. You can have compassion and gentleness with yourself, as you said, that you have to be gentle with yourself. As Kimberly said, right? I was being gentle with myself. So just know that this week and really moving forward, we're going to have a lot of truth provoked, a lot of truth revealed, a lot of things that are the curtain pulled back, the seas parting ways, and exposing things that were always there before. This is going to continue. And when you feel confused, when you feel overwhelmed, know that it's because there is a manipulation of the communication happening. And that really is a call for you to become more connected to your intuition, which is what is true and aligned for you. And that truth changes. You change. Your lens gets cleaner and cleaner. And as it does, the truth becomes clearer and clearer. So know that it's allowed to evolve and change. But the thing that we all can embrace in this moment is coming into acceptance. Through acceptance, we open our heart, we have more compassion, we have more grace, and we integrate more pain. We make peace with that pain. That is what alchemy is. Alchemy is holding space without fixing, without judging. It's loving. It's loving the pain, the uncomfortableness. Love is what transforms it. So I hope that this energy update was serving to you guys. See if there's anything else on here that I missed. I am in Beaufort, North Carolina. We're right on the coast. I'm right on the coast. It's beautiful here. Thank you guys all for hopping on TikTok. Perfect. So I hope this energy update was serving to you. And again, if you feel called or would like help with moving from anxiety, worry, and resistance and fear to acceptance, there's a free opportunity for you to do so on me. Please enjoy it. And if you think this energy update would be helpful for someone else, please share it with them. And let's just be kind to ourselves and one another. All right. So I will see you guys all next week. Thank you so much for joining me. And until next time.